You're watching and listening to the latest Red and Blue review show. For all your Crystal Palace related chat, please like and subscribe across all the usual social media platforms, especially our YouTube channel. This really helps us out. Now, let's get on with the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and a warm welcome to the Red and Blue Review. My name is Nick Philpott, probably one of the most hated people around the football club at the moment. I hope you are all well. I'm shortly going to be joined by the illustrious team. We will be reviewing everything to do with Strasbourg and obviously yesterday's Man United game at home at Selhurst Park. But before we do these, Yaz, you've still got some food there, love. Okay. Let's say a warm welcome to Yasmin Broom. I hope you're well.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Bit tired, like the team, but I'll get there.
It's hard, like all of us, I think. I think we're all the same. My wingman, Ian Noble. Are you all right, boss?
Good evening, Nick. Good evening, everybody. Hey, Yasmin took her lunch into the game yesterday because it was over lunchtime. That's hilarious.
But she was still eating it about 5 minutes ago, mate. We'll leave her alone. Leave her alone. And Paul Gear, a.k.a. the real panel. How are you, mate? You're looking weary.
Yeah, I'm pretty tired. I mean, I must admit, I was still recovering from jet lag from my trip to Las Vegas at the end of last week, and then I was gallivanting over Europe in the long trips there and stuff. So it's been a long time, but it's been a fun time. But yeah, lots to talk about.
Are you guys going to Burnley on Wednesday?
We certainly are.
You're mad. You are mad. Noble's not going plastic, but you two are nuts. You two are nuts. Anyway, so we will be reviewing events. Let's just call them events from Strasbourg. Those of you that are tuning in, especially to the Red and Blue Review, to report back to either warring faction as a Nick Philpott rant, you ain't going to get it. You're going to be disappointed. We will be discussing it in great detail later in the show. So if you want to find out what Big Mouth Philpott's got to say on the subject, you will do, okay? But you'll have to hold on and stay with us, whether you like it or not. We're going to do it later on in the show, and we will cover all aspects of what happened over in Strasbourg. But before we go any further, before we talk about the game at Strasbourg, can we just talk about Strasbourg itself? What a beautiful city. Your thoughts, guys?
Yeah, I mean, I'd never really heard about the famous Christmas market. Apparently, it's one of the most historic and famous ones in Europe. But yeah, no, it's very picturesque. It was very atmospheric. It had the tallest decorated tree in Europe, apparently, and some of the stalls were incredible. And I know these guys had some mulled wine and hot apple. But yeah, I thought it was a lovely place.
Ian?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I couldn't agree with that more. I think it bumped the prices up of our hotels because it was the start of the Christmas markets. So there were loads of people just coming for that, and suddenly all these Palace fans descended on the town. So yeah, and it was great, nice and central, wasn't it? A train station for everything. Worked really, really well. So yeah,
yes, I think
it's certainly on my to-do go back list. I'll definitely go back.
As well. Sarah and I are booking now for next year. Absolutely.
Very nice.
Yes, they called it the Noel capital of Europe or something. It's gorgeous, isn't it?
It is. It was really, really nice. We had a lovely stroll around the market, and then we had a really nice meal in the bar. And yeah, I wouldn't mind going back there because we only saw one of the markets, and apparently there are 6. So that would have been good to do.
The one that's wrapped around the cathedral is a little bit special. I don't know if you got to. I hope you got to see that one. That was the big one, of course. So coming up in tonight's show, ladies and gentlemen, we will be reviewing the game from Strasbourg, events from Strasbourg, the Man United game, and obviously the Glasner comments post-match yesterday afternoon. We want to invite you all to get involved in the chat. Nigel will be reviewing the comments as they go through, and anything decent he's going to be putting up on screen. We want your opinion as to what's going on and your feeling. I'll be very intrigued during the course of the show. Not quite yet. I actually tweeted overnight that I thought the atmosphere in the stadium yesterday was bizarre, whether it was the early kickoff, whether it was fatigue of the players and the supporters, because we're all admitting we were tired, whether it was events of Strasbourg, whatever it was. Did you find that the atmosphere in the stadium yesterday was quiet? Let us know in the chat, and we will get to them during the course of the show. Each and every one of you is listening, wherever you are listening in the world, either live, and I know there's quite a few of you watching live, or you're listening back on the podcast post-show. You are more than welcome welcome to the Red and Blue Review. Right, without further ado, I'm going to bring Paul in, and Paul is going to be speaking about the Strasbourg game. Over to you, my man. Good the lineups, Nige.
Yep, so we made our way to Strasbourg, a nice long trip around the ground, get into the ground. The team news comes out. 3 changes. So he's brought Canvo in for Chris Richards, and Hughes and Lerma come in for Walton and Kamada. And for the most of the European games, he seems to switch around his midfield, which has been quite interesting, hence probably why some of the results have happened. But we'll discuss that in a bit. But yeah, the game started. It was freezing cold, so the first 10 minutes or so, I think the teams were just feeling each other out, and there wasn't too much happening. But yeah, about the 10th minute, Strasbourg got their first chance of the game. There's pictures there. That was us in there. So some of the half of the fans were caged in.
That was me in the cage. I was in that cage next to the white flag. That will be me.
Yeah, we were in the little bit to the right of that wasn't fully caged, just had a fence at the front. So
well-behaved fans were allowed to be in the other bit that wasn't caged.
Yeah, there's us there.
Hey, there we are. We photoshopped you in, mate, from the upper tier.
Nice to be involved, guys. Thanks for the invite.
Yes, in the 10th minute, Strasbourg had the first real chance. They played some good interplay down the left-hand side, and their winger cuts in and hits a low shot to the near post, which Henderson puts wide with his foot. Good save. And then again, 10 or so minutes later, another chance for Strasbourg. Some cross again from their left-hand side into the middle of the box. And I think Mark Gay's just done enough to put the striker off. He's headed it past the far post. But yeah, not really much happening in the game, to be honest. It's, as I say, 2 teams sort of quite similar, not really doing anything. But the first thing for Palace at that point happened was Will Hughes got injured. So he went down feeling his knee by the look of it. And he made a quick decision to take him off. Obviously, we don't want to get injuries at the moment. So we're going to take anyone off who shows a sign of an injury. So he went off and Adam Walton come on. So in the 30th minute, so any plans to really rest him are sort of kiboshed pretty quickly, unfortunately. And then the next sort of thing that was of note in the game was actually in the stands, where suddenly the Strasbourg fans at the other end, who were very vocal and were very jumping around and quite good to watch, they unleashed a banner. Now, all we could make from this banner were the words Crystal Palace and multi on it. So we thought it was something to do with our multi-club ownership. No one really knew it. But yeah, it turns out they were, I think, in support of our plight and the fact that we were kicked out and no to multi-club ownership now, which is quite interesting because they're
multi-club ownership. Yeah.
They're very much stuck in a multi-club ownership, and yes, we think that might have actually cost us at the end of last season with their relationship with Chelsea. In
what it actually said, translated to, it was even when you win, you lose against multi-club ownership. Quite ironic, really, given of their own position on multi-club ownership. But clearly, their fans don't agree with it. So that's what it said. Even when you win, you lose. But so I was quite encouraged by that. You know, they were with us, weren't they? Standing with us in solidarity. So yeah, good on them.
Well, I still think,
if I understand it correctly, it was actually written in German to avoid any clash with FIFA, French soil, French wording, and all the rest of it. It was actually written in German. Bear in mind how close we were to the German border anyway.
That's very true. I mean, they could be expecting a knock on the door and a fine from FIFA, to be honest. I mean, we got one from for our, so perhaps they are trying to be clever, but it's yeah, and as if sure half their team are either from Chelsea, going to Chelsea on loan for it. So yeah, they're probably not too happy with it. And I think, as we've discussed on it before, I think they ended up not making the Champions League last year because of that relationship they have with Chelsea. But that's another story. So yeah, so the banner came out, and yeah, I don't know whether it inspired our players. I doubt it. But pretty soon after, we hit the front. So it was a lovely goal actually. But Walton's plays a high ball up from the halfway line, and Mateta brings it down, and he holds the defender off, carries it across the box, and then slips a lovely ball through between the defenders to Tyrick, who's steaming up on the outside. And he's drilled it into the bottom far corner with a really good finish. And yeah, a great goal, to be honest. It was, either team could have taken the lead at that point. But yeah, that was a good clinical goal and hopefully was going to be the springboard for it. But yeah, I mean, a great goal, guys. Paul, do you mind if I jump in very quickly?
It's the sort of thing whereby we've noticed on 2 occasions so far this year. I mean, Tyrick bombing on when Daniel's not, okay? But they've actually got him working on his finishing, clearly in coaching, because he's actually getting better in front of goal. Look at the goal away at West Ham. Look at the goal on Thursday night. They've clearly been working on his finishing, and it's starting to bear fruit. You not think, Ian?
Yeah, definitely. Oliver Glasner referred to that in his post-match as well. He talked about the fact that Tarek is getting better offensively. And, yeah, beautiful finish. He still had quite a lot to do. So, really good for him. Really pleased for him. I know Yasmin will be pleased because she's a number one fan, aren't you? Tarek Mitchell's number one fan.
Well, apart from his mum, yes, probably. I think this season he's really improved again.
No,
I think he did go down a bit for a little while, but something is clicking with him this season, and so therefore he should definitely play for England.
Yeah, it's a good
Tarek for England.
But yeah, so we're 1-0 up, and obviously the best thing to do when you're 1-0 up is to go 2-0 up and try and hammer home that advantage. And within 30 seconds of taking the lead, we should have gone 2-0 up. It was quite noticeable throughout the first half and throughout the whole game, to be honest, that their goalkeeper was taking a lot of risks. He was basically spending most of the match outside the box trying to be part of the backline play or whatever, and there was a few times he was nearly caught out, and this was one of them. The defender tried to play it back to him, but it was too short, and Sars managed to take it off him. And okay, he's 30 yards out. He's got an open goal, and he's contrived, unfortunately, to drift it into the post. And again, it's a little bit unfortunate because it's bounced across the goal. Could have gone anywhere, but it's bounced across the goal. So obviously that comes back to haunt us going forward. But it's another one of these chances that we've had week in, week out that we're gilt-edged chances that we're missing. And it's at key times as well. Like I say, if you go 2-0 up there, it's almost game over because you totally put the pin in their balloon and they're suddenly 2 down from out of nowhere. So yeah, it was an unfortunate, poor miss. You can argue it was unfortunate. You can argue, but it does happen, as we'll come to later. It's just unfortunate and a bit careless that we managed to do it twice in the same game. But yeah, so at this point, we're now beginning to sort of take over and really, whereas probably Strasbourg edged the first 30 minutes since our goal, we're sort of taking on a bit. We get another chance a few minutes later, and Munoz tackles their guy who's he's messing about with it on their own byline, and he cuts it back to Pino, who hits a good shot, which is well saved. And yeah, so we finished the first half the better of the two teams for the last 15 minutes or so, and going at half time 1 up, probably just about deserved based on the last 15 minutes of the game. So yeah, it was all looking good at that point, and as it has done recently. I mean, we weren't looking to signs of tiredness at that point. So second half, we come out and Chris Richards has come on for Mark Gay. Now, this has been alluded to after, as apparently it was always planned. Now, from my opinion, I'm not sure I like that idea. I mean, if a player can't play for 90 minutes, you probably shouldn't start him. I mean, I know we've got to sort of manage Mark Gay with his recent injury, but personally, I don't like the idea of thinking you're only going to give someone 45 minutes, because if you bring Chris Richards on, if Max Lacroix then gets injured in the 46th minute, you've sort of used your sub and it's a bit of a mess. But yeah, I wasn't too keen on that.
So what was the thinking about it? So where's the decision-making process in that? Because we can all be armchair managers, but why the first 45 minutes and not the second 45 minutes? What's the logic behind it? Can anybody explain it to me?
I don't think it matters which 45 minutes, but I said at the time, Paul, because you were saying to me in the ground, oh, was he injured? And I said, no, I think this is planned.
Yeah.
And it was planned. And he just made a decision that Mark Gay was going to get the first 45 and Chris Richards was going to get the second 45. And yeah, obviously, if another centre-back had got injured, then you would have had an issue. But you've got other subs, I suppose. People like Jeff Lerner can drop back and play there and so on. So, yeah, I don't mind it. I don't feel the same as you, Paul. I just think it's good management sometimes when we're talking about the number of games coming so thick and fast, Thursday, Sunday, that you've got to manage minutes of some of these players. And if you've got a player like Mark, who has been injured recently, he played the full 90 at Wolves. Maybe they just took it out of him a bit, and he wanted him for the Man United game, is that he managed his minutes in the Strasbourg fixture, which is fine by me. I mean, with hindsight, knowing now that we've lost that fixture, would it have made a difference if he'd stayed on the pitch? We just don't know. You don't know.
No, as you say, after the event, it's always easy, isn't it? And as I say, there is a logic to, as you say, managing minutes. It's just, yeah, I just find that a bit. I'm more of a person that will, as you say, if you're going to do that, don't start them, bring them on, just to give them that way. But yeah, but that's what it happened. But ultimately, say Chris Richards just come on. That's not really weakening the team that much, is it? So let's be honest. But yeah, but it was quite clear straight away when the second half started that Strasbourg had either had a rocket or changed their tactics, because they were a lot more in our faces. They were a lot more pressing. They were a lot more direct when they had the ball as well. And yeah, it was quite clear that we weren't having the time on the ball, and it didn't take long for that to take effect. In the 53rd minute, their ex-Brighton player, who we all like to see, and Cisco, is a bit of a, we know what he's. Well, let's go down what he's like, but apparently he's going to Chelsea next year as well. So he's one of the current Chelsea players on the Strasbourg books. He played a slide rule ball out to the left winger, who's drilled it into the middle of the box, and the striker Emiger, the far post, just prods it past the Dean Henderson, who's flying across his goal to equalise, and cue pandemonium at their end of the stadium, and their rather excitable Tannoy man, who obviously loves it when they score, because he goes or he gets on like a 15-minute rant of the goal scorer. But yeah, Emiger is another one of these players. Apparently he's joining Chelsea next year on a 7-year contract. I mean, it's all very a very strange setup. I don't know, as I say, I don't know how they get away with it, to be honest. But yeah, so 1-1 very quickly, which is never a good way to start a half. And again, it was yeah. But again, timing is everything, and straight away within a few minutes, we should have pinned the balloon and killed them, because a few minutes later, again messing around at the back, ball falls to Walton on the edge of the box, and he's got an open goal. The ball, okay, is bouncing, it's bobbling or whatever, but he hits it on the up, and it cannons off the crossbar. And I don't think we got a still of this one. But when you see it, when he's kicked the ball, the goal is nowhere near the goal. It's an open goal, and to be fair, he looked devastated. I mean, obviously we all know he hasn't scored for us yet, and we all know he's desperate to do this backflip, which I don't particularly want to see him do, because I think he'll probably injure himself. But that's a whole other story. But again, you can't miss these chances at this level, because it as bad as it dropping your own team's confidence, it gives the opposition confidence, because they're like, well, we should be dead and buried, but we're not, so we're still in the game, and they can't score, and it gives them. But it's, as I say, it was an unfortunate miss, Nick. Oh,
he's off. He's off. I think he's
I'll be back in a second. I am here.
Okay, I thought you wanted to speak. Okay, that's fine.
I'll come in and speak. I just think that this is a story of our season, isn't it? We'll talk about it in the Man United game as well later on. We have missed too many big chances. When I was on BBC Radio London last week, we're talking to Rob Green. He said the same thing to me. He said, if I've got one criticism of Crystal Palace this season, it's you're missing too many of your chances. You're creating these chances. Now, Oliver Glasner was putting a positive spin on this earlier in the season. At least we're creating the chances. I'd be worried if we weren't creating the chances. Now he's not. Now he's digging them out for missing them, because we can't keep doing it. And we've got to change somehow. Something's got to change. I'm not sure what it is. More shooting practice. Trouble is, they don't have time to do that.
But it's not. Last week we were digging out, not digging him out, but we were criticising JP for this very subject. Okay, he's missed too many one-on-ones all season. But now, if you look at it, it wasn't him. It was Sarr and it was Walton on Thursday. So yeah, it's affecting the whole team now.
Yeah, the Pino one was a bit different, but it's harder to hit the woodwork than score goals on both of those occasions with Sarr and Walton. Much harder.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think, just imagine how high in the league we would be if we had taken those chances. Like if we hadn't lost the Everton game, all of those games where we had so many chances, we'd be much higher up. Not that we could go much higher, but you know what I mean. We'd be in the top 4, definitely.
For sure.
It's the same with the conference table, though. If we'd taken our chances against Larnaca, if we'd taken our chances against Strasbourg, we'd have had 4 out of 4, and we'd be top and cruising through, and which we're not at the moment, as we'll find out. But yeah, so again, we've let them off the hook again. 70th minute, another good Strasbourg move, because they're beginning to again put some pressure on us. Ball's played into box, and the attacker goes down, and they're appealing for a penalty, but the ref waves it away, and having looked that back, I think that was probably a fair decision. But it's getting a bit end to end at this point now, and we get down the other end again. Munoz on the right hand side plays a through ball, which I think Sarr does well to leave. Pino's clean through on goal, and again, I think perhaps he should have done better. I mean, I think we'll come to this with the Man United game as well, but I think sometimes our players, because maybe they're missing chances and because we're not taking off, they try and be a bit too precise sometimes. Sometimes you just got to put your foot through the ball, and he's tried to be clever and side foot it at the front post and try and deceive the keeper and all that. And when it works, it looks great, and it's like all these things. But when it doesn't, it's a gilt-edged chance you've missed. When really from 8 yards, you just put your foot through it, you got much more chance of scoring. So again, it gives Strasbourg confidence, and within a couple of minutes, it's sucker punch time, and they score again, so they go straight up the other end. And there's a bit of unfortunate on that because again, Enciso drives forward and he hits a speculative shot, and it hits Max from about a yard. Now, really, I mean, it's if they hadn't been given a free kick for handball, I don't think anyone would be complaining on either side. I mean, it's a pretty harsh one, to be honest. But ref gives the free kick, and so we've got to be prepared for it. And Cisco again. Obviously, he takes the shot, curls it over the wall, hits the outside of the post, comes back, and El Mubarak, their player, is the first to react, and he puts it in. And Dean was obviously a bit upset at this because when you look, there is no reaction from the Palace wall. Unfortunately, the only reaction and rush to the rebound is the attacking team. So, and again, as Oliver said with the other day, we've let in a set piece goal, which is always pretty sloppy. So the masters of our own downfall at both ends of the pitch, sadly. 2-1 down, and pretty soon after, Strasbourg could have gone 3-1 up. The attacker goes through, hits a great shot, and Dino makes a great save, flipping it over. And from that point, really, we huffed and puffed. We didn't really look like scoring. Unfortunately, coming back, Pino's hit a speculative shot over, but we haven't really looked like equalising at that time. And probably Strasbourg are looking the more likely, to be honest. So yeah, the game ends that way. As I say, can't complain at the result. If you miss open goals at key times, you're not going to win games, and you can't complain when you lose. So yeah, we find ourselves 18th in the conference table. Halfway through the second section that we don't want to be in, with 6 points from 4 games. We've put ourselves under pressure, really, because looking at the next 2 games, we should win them, but we are now put in a position where we have to win them. And even if we do, we're then hoping other results can go our way to try and avoid an extra 2 games that, as we're going to say and have said, we can't afford at the moment. And I mean, we're playing midweek every week until the middle of January at this point. It could be worse if we get through in the quarterfinal, if we get through the quarterfinal of the Cup as well. So we don't want extra games, but it's looking like we're probably going to have to go through the round of 32 if we're going to get through. So yeah, we put pressure on ourselves, and again, an unfortunate, silly result that we can only blame ourselves for. But yeah, so it was so the football, not the greatest performance, not the greatest result, but yeah, I mean, we'll now move on to other aspects of the trip to Strasbourg, Nick.
Yeah, before we do, I was just going to say that our failure to get that point against Larnaca could end up being so costly because, as you quite rightly alluded to, Paul, 2 winnable games left in the group, but we actually are then relying on other teams to slip up a little bit, which in fairness, some of the big teams have slipped up within that group. Go on, Ian.
Yeah, and the other point to make here is that both Shelbourne and Coops will look at the Larnaca fixture, and they'll look at how they set up against us, and they'll play a low block against us like Larnaca did. And we've already said earlier this season that we find it difficult to break these teams down. We did with Millwall in the Carabao, and we did with Larnaca. So, he's got to find a way through this. He's got to find a solution to this low block, which I'm not sure we have. I haven't seen it anyway. I've seen no evidence of it. But we've got to find that solution and make sure that we win both those games and rely on other people. But yeah, at the time, the Larnaca game, I thought, we've lost it. Wouldn't make not much difference between a defeat and a draw. But actually, come the end of the league phase, huge difference. That 1 point could make all the difference.
Absolutely. And before we move on, I know people are joining us all the time. So a warm welcome to you all, wherever you are listening in the world. But particularly John Lyons. Ian did send me your business card yesterday, indeed. And I know you're watching live now. So good evening, mate. Welcome back to the Red and Blue Review. You are an integral part of the Red and Blue setup, and you are. I won't embarrass you on air and tell everybody why, but you are more than welcome, mate. Thank you from the bottom of our heart. We wouldn't be sitting here now without what you did, okay? And that's absolutely true. So the boys and girls have handed back to me because they know that I want to talk about my experiences. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about is not what I've heard, what I've seen, or what people have told me, or I've seen on social media. Everything that I'm about to speak to you about comes from my eyes, okay? They come from my experiences over the last 96 hours, really, because it actually continued yesterday. So you'll all be aware of there was problems in the toilet at half time. There was problems post-match. There was problems in the town. Okay, I'm going to talk to you solely about what I witnessed. The video that didn't just go viral, it went super viral. Like it or not, I don't care whether you agree that I shared it. I'm not interested whether you think I should or shouldn't have shared it. Was my video. I took it. Let me paint the picture for you. So the square had been nice and peaceful all afternoon. People sitting in the bars. As the evening went on, okay, it started getting a little bit more vocal in there, and it's all friendly Palace fans singing together, doing what we do best, doing what we pride ourselves at the club. And the guys from the HF came in, okay? They didn't congregate with us. They stood in the middle of the square, dressed on their own, dressed in all black, all balaclavaed up to the hilt, okay? All you could see was eyes. Okay, I'm telling you that for a reason, because they didn't mix with the Palace fans. The Palace fans were singing. They didn't sing with the Palace fans. They were there to look menacing, and I'm not going to take either side of this fight because I don't care really. Quite frankly, I wish you'd shut yourselves in a fucking warehouse and kick the shit out of each other and solve it once and for all. Okay, I don't care what side. I don't agree with any form of racism. I don't agree with any form of bullying or fighting. Okay, politics stays out of football. There's no place in Crystal Palace. I was proud to be one of the people walking in with the Pride and Palace girls when they first launched their flag, and it was the HF that removed the flag and said no politics in football, and they stopped them from bringing it into the ground. I was with them that day. So it was them lot that said no politics in football, yet it's now fine for them to introduce politics to football. You can't have it both ways, lads. You can't have it both ways. You do great stuff for the club. What you do for the club with your tifos and your singing is to be applauded, and I absolutely applaud you for it. But what's gone on what I witnessed in the square, I'm standing next to Nikki, who's the safety officer from the club. Okay, she's in a pink safety jacket, a high-vis jacket, and we just said hello to each other. Then it was as though the oxygen got sucked out of the square, and I've got my phone in my hand, and I'm recording because I'm talking to Nikki. Okay, I'm talking to Nikki, and I'm recording something for the podcast. And with that, I've turned around, okay, and I've just seen what I can only describe as embarrassment from both of you that are involved in that fight in the square. Okay, there was chairs being thrown, there was bottles being thrown, there was tables landing on people's heads, people not connected with the fight whatsoever, innocent bystanders. Your friends and my friends have set us apart at Crystal Palace. Nothing to do with either warring faction, okay? With blood streaming down their faces because they've been hit by a table, okay? These are your friends and your family. These are the people you've been going to football with for years. Don't call yourself fans. Don't call yourself supporters. You're cowards. You're faceless cowards. Both sides of you. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you are. I don't care which party you are. I'm not interested. Go and shut yourselves in a room somewhere and deal with it, because inevitably how this is going to escalate, and I've already heard about stories allegedly this is going to happen in Dublin and that's going to happen in Dublin, blah, blah, blah. Guys, you heard it on this podcast first. Inevitably, this will escalate and somebody will end up getting badly hurt, okay? I fear for the worst. Somebody could end up being killed. Now, how would that reflect on our club? This is little Crystal Palace that we're talking about. The club that we dedicate our lives to. We end up doing this, once a week, giving up our Sundays for you guys, okay? And if any of you are listening from either side, I don't care. I don't care what your argument is. There's no room for racism. I get it. There's no room for whatever your counter argument is. I don't give a shit. It's Crystal Palace Football Club. Please please, I was in the square. I witnessed it happening. Okay, I saw everything that happened. Okay, in fairness to the HF, they did not start anything. The first chair, the first bottle, the first punch did not come from the boys dressed in black. That's what I saw. Okay, that's what I saw. People automatically assume the worst of them. Okay, they were standing there looking menacing. They were up for it, if you like. Okay, but they didn't start anything. They just responded to what was already happening, or just kicking off in the square. So I'm going to take this forward. My thought process on this, okay, is that I want the club to deal with it. Ladies and gentlemen, the three guys on the panel with me this evening do not know what I'm about to say, okay? So they're getting from this absolutely cold. Pin your ears back, because my thought process is that the club should now take serious action. I'm delighted to announce, okay, for those of you who weren't in the Holmesdale pre-game yesterday, they brought in a completely different, tooled up bunch of security. I got there probably 40 minutes before kickoff yesterday and literally surrounded the HF. Okay, bear in mind, I know this also happened in the Arthur Waite yesterday. Okay, they surrounded the HF en masse. Okay, completely different setup than your normal yellow vested. These are all in orange, these guys. Okay, they were there for a purpose, and they had police there with the cameras. Okay, with the cameras on top of them. Okay, they recorded every single thing that happened at the back of the Holmesdale pre-kickoff yesterday, and I'm delighted to announce that at least one of them yesterday got a lifetime ban. I'm also aware that they also went into the Arthur Waite yesterday, and they only got one in the Arthur Waite yesterday. They are actually looking for 20. So they are looking for 20 is my information. Okay, 2 of them got lifetime bans yesterday, and I saw it happen in front of me. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time, or the wrong place at the right time yesterday, as I was on Thursday. And I actually saw them go in en masse. There was no response from the HF. I don't know what happened in the Arthur, because I didn't see that happen over there, but I've just been told that also happened in the Arthur yesterday. But they're looking for 20 individuals to give them bans. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to stop there, because I'm going to leave it to fact only, okay? What I witnessed, okay, both on Thursday evening and Sunday lunchtime, okay? Over to you guys. Any comments on what I've just said?
Nick, thanks for sharing. Thanks for sharing. I know that you feel really passionately about this. You witnessed it, so I can understand you wanted to share it. So thanks for sharing. There's a lot of support for what you're saying in the chat. A lot of people saying name and shame, clubs should take action. And I think they will on the back of what we've heard. So I think in the interest of the fact that this is a football podcast, we talk about the football. We'll leave it there if that's all right. And we'll move on. We certainly had a nice time in Strasbourg before the game. I'm sorry you didn't. A mate of ours did get involved in a scuffle in the gents during the first half. He was shaken up. He's a guy sort of our age, in 50s, 60s, and he tried to separate 2 of them having a go at each other, or more than 2 of them. So we know it went on elsewhere as well. So look, you know, let's hope that they settle the differences. They can get on with supporting Crystal Palace, because that's what they should be doing, Paul.
Yeah, I mean, and just one other thing on that, as I say, whether they like it or not, it does affect the rest of the fan base. I mean, we got the full experience the other day of English fans abroad in Europe. I know Newcastle have had issues last week in France, and so have Tottenham. But yeah, we were locked in 3 different various places on the way out of the ground for over an hour. Yeah, then frog marched by rioted up police with batons, and people who didn't stick on the designated route were then pepper sprayed and things like that. So it's all these little things that will make the police be a bit more unfriendly to us, and so we got to kick it out. There's no place for it, and yeah, as I say, we want to go to these trips and have nice, peaceful, fun trips, and hopefully in Dublin it will go back to that.
Yes, before I hand over to you, can I just caveat everything I've said? Listen, guys, I'm in my 60s now. I've waited my entire life to watch my team play in Europe, okay? You're not doing it inside the Sellers Park because you're in 2 different stands. You're doing it at some away games and giving us a bad name away games. But this is our time to shine in Europe. Okay, the football's not been great over the last 72 hours. We know that. But that's what we do. We're up and down. But we've waited our entire football-loving career to spend some time in Europe with our football team. just enjoy the experience, please.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really what I want to do, and we did for the most part. We had a nice time. I can't lie, it did put me off slightly. I thought, well, I'll see how it is in Dublin, because some of that did put me off. I didn't want to go to the loo at half time. I was more scared of the police thinking I was involved and bashing me over the head with their riot sticks.
You're getting told with the same brush. You're getting
Look, we could have easily been gassed ourselves.
Yeah.
We were just
We were
yards away from
walking
it.
towards
We saw people turning around, walking back towards us, with stuff in their eyes, and they didn't do anything wrong. They just went off to the route slightly that I was supposed to be on. So, it was a real shame. And I was talking to another Palace mate yesterday. He said when he went to Paris with England, they fired it all up in the air, so it all came down on them for no apparent reason. So that's how they act, the French police. But if you give them reason to intervene like that, they'll do it more so. They'll jump at the chance. So I just think we need to put it down to experience, and let's hope that nothing as bad happens again.
Just fucking grow up.
Quite a few more away days.
Draw a line on it there. Just grow up. Draw the line. Okay, we're going to move
Indeed.
on.
Should we talk about Man United?
Let's talk about Man United. Ian, would you mind be so kind, me old mucker, and talk us through yesterday's debacle?
Okay, it's interesting some of the stuff about this fixture, because Man United haven't won at Selhurst Park for 5 years. We go into the back of this game with 12 home games unbeaten. It was the longest run in the Premier League, and yet unlucky for us, unlucky 13. Manchester United obviously managed to win the game. So the 3 changes to the starting 11 were the 3 that he changed for Strasbourg. So brought back in Chris Richards, brought back in Wharton and Kamada to the starting 11. And it was a strange atmosphere, as you said, Nick. It was high noon, bright sunshine, and half the pitch was in shadow. And it was, all set for a good game of football. We had an early scare. They took a long throw. Dallo to take his on their long throw duty. I think he took a couple of foul long throws in front of us, in front of our bit where we are in the main stand. But this came from the other side, from the other weight. He throws it in. We didn't really deal with it very well. It bounced about and it could have gone anywhere. Casemiro got his foot on it, but Dino was very brave and he sort of jumped on it and fell on the ball and kept it out. And when he celebrated afterwards, I didn't see it in the game, but he turned around and punched the air to the Homesdale stand in celebration of making that save. We get this. So we had that early scare. I think we then had the Sarr injury. I think that was the next moment of note. Sarr was down injured on the right-hand side. You knew it was bad because he's hitting the turf with his hand, and the trainer comes on and he's sort of treated, and he plays on. He thinks he's okay to play on, and he turns his ankle, I think, as he went down under the challenge. Wharton played a great game yesterday, I thought, especially in the first half, the way he managed to just knock the through balls onto Mateta, especially on a number of occasions. And he played a first-time ball, and he finds Jean-Philippe Mateta wide on the left, who did really well with the ball. He beat the defender. He took it down the left-hand side. But his decision-making just wasn't right, was it? He found the side netting with his shot, a disappointing finish when there were other options in the box that he could have crossed for. Then we had another long throw. I think it was the first long throw that we had, really. Chris Richards on the left-hand side. He throws it in, and Wharton gets a shot on target away, and he hit it too cleanly. He got it right down the throat of the Man United goalkeeper, and it was a relatively straightforward save in the end. But, he's close to scoring that first goal for Palace, but it wasn't to be on that occasion either. Then Dino, he has a long kick right down the pitch, Route 1 style, and it bounces kindly for Jean-Philippe Mateta, and it comes off a Man United defender, and he's through on goal. He sees the goal, but once more he drags his shot wide. Another big chance miss, guys. I couldn't believe it dragged that one wide. In agreement with me, it's just a poor one, wasn't it?
Yeah, again, go on, Yas.
I was going to say it is, and to be honest, he's got to start improving on those, because at the moment that is he's not the only one to blame. That's no way what I'm doing, but he's he's in that position. He should be scoring these goals. He shouldn't be making these mistakes.
Yeah, or at least hitting the target. You know, I don't understand how he can drag his shot so wide. You know, why can't he just hit the target? If the keeper makes a save, that's fine. Paul and then Nick.
Yeah, again, as it were, similar to the Eddie chance you're going to come on to. Again, whether it's lack of confidence, I think we're trying to be too precise. He's trying to find the bottom corner. You saw what Cody Gakpo did yesterday. He got the ball in a penalty spot. He just smashed it towards the goal. And as you say, smash it towards the goal. The keeper could parry it to someone for a rebound, parry it for a corner. Just hit the target, as you say. Don't try and be clever and whatever. And it's costing us dearly.
So we've allegedly offered him £100,000 a week, which he's rejected flat foot. He was near 150 grand. I'm sorry, we're paying it. And who was it that said it years ago? Roy Keane. We're paying you to do a job. Do your damn job. Okay, I'm sorry, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. If that's what once you can forgive. Okay, twice, arguable. Okay, 3, 4, 5 times in a season in the space of a few weeks. It's gonna. Yaz has already alluded to it. Where would we be if he took our chances? And most of the gilt-edged chances are falling to the big man, and he ain't putting them away. Well, if you want a contract, mate, if you want a contract that you're worthwhile, do your job.
I do think it's only a matter of time though before it does click. At least I'm hoping. But the glass is always half full with me when it comes to Crystal Palace. I've got these red and blue tinted specs on. Up at Burnley on Wednesday night, he's going to get a hat trick, isn't he? Captain him in your FPL team, guys. He's the man for Wednesday night. Anyway. Kamada got a shot away as well. Decent save from the keeper. Didn't quite have enough power on it to beat the goalkeeper. That would have been a Sarr assist. And again, that came from an Adam Wharton through ball. He was actually fouled, but the referee played advantage. Thought Rob Jones, the referee, had quite a good game, actually, considering, referees don't normally have a good game. The linesman didn't in front of us, but I thought the ref did all right yesterday. And then, of course, we come to the penalty. And again, it's Wharton playing the ball through. And it was a long pass. He hit the ball from, halfway through our half, between the touch line and the halfway line. And he plays the ball through for Mateta, who does well in the end. He gets away. But he looks like he's been shot there, doesn't he, in that still? He looks like someone shot him. And the defender's only just touched him. He's brushed his leg. And I've seen lots of Man United comments saying, that's never a penalty. It's soft. But actually it was a penalty. No hesitation. Referee gave it. All agree it's a penalty kick. No doubt about the decision about the penalty. Sure.
Yeah.
He
hasn't meant to foul him, but he has.
Sorry, Paul, and then Nick, go on.
He hasn't meant to foul him, but he's caught him and he's brought him down. It's a foul. It'd be a foul anywhere on the pitch. It's a foul in the penalty box.
Of course it is.
Mateta felt a slight brush on his leg and he went down like a fucking dying swan. I'm sorry, I'll stop swearing. He did. He went, look, put that picture up again. He looks like a dying swan. Somebody had taken a shot from the stand. Down he goes. I'm sorry. If that was given against us, guys, you'd be crying over it. You'd be going mad over it.
No.
I think that's very tough. I mean, look at the result. It didn't reflect on the result.
I think he's just trying to wind us up. But I think it's a penalty. It's a penalty kick. If that's against us, you've got to admit that there's a contact and it's a foul in the box. So
yeah, he's exaggerated it, but it was a foul.
But did he need to exaggerate it? That's the thing. If he just gone down without the exaggeration, would he still got the penalty?
Professional footballers exaggerate.
Let's come to the real talking point. So he's given the ball to take the penalty. And this is the first time this has ever happened in English top flight football. Jean-Philippe Mateta was allowed to retake his penalty due to a new rule implemented for this season. Accidental double touch penalties are now allowed to be taken again, but only if the spot kick was successful. So there you have it. We couldn't believe it in the ground that they were checking it. We thought, what are they checking for? And then when he announced it, I didn't know the rule. I don't know whether you did, Paul. You're more clued up on these kind of things than I am. But I thought, oh my gosh, they're going to disallow it. Then he announced it's going to be retaken. And I thought, do we allow him to take it again, or does someone else take it? And Yaz, I bet you wanted someone else to take it, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. 100%. I think I was going for Chris Richards because I remembered his penalty in the Community Shield, and I thought, yeah, come on. But yeah,
Anyway,
was
yeah,
bizarre.
he steps up to take it again. But Paul, do you want to come in here?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was quite interesting because when he announced that it was a double touch, the Man United players were all sort of, some of them were punching the air, and some of them, when they realised it was going to be a retake, they all went a bit mad. So it's almost like they didn't know the rule. They thought,
No.
and
Well,
I mean, it's a rule that's changed. I mean, a couple of years ago there was quite a controversial penalty shootout between Atletico and Real Madrid, and Julio Alvarez, the ex-Man City player, scored but double touched, and obviously the goal was disallowed, and they lost the penalty shootout because of that. And FIFA at that point said they were going to look at it, and they finally changed the rule in the summer, which I knew it happened and was telling a few people around at the time. But it's and it's probably a fair rule because ultimately no penalty taker's deliberately going to double touch it, and you're also running the risk if I think there was an issue with opponents scuffing penalty spots. So if you slip and hit it, it's not really your fault. So I think it's a good rule change, to be honest. It's an accidental double touch. Take it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And he did take it again. He steps up again under a lot of pressure. And you look at the close up of him when he was waiting to take this second spot kick, and he was really focused. And he sent the keeper the wrong way. He put it the other side this time to make it 1-0. And cue the goal celebration all over again. That was quite bizarre, wasn't it? He did it twice. Really weird. Really weird. Anyway, that was our fourth penalty this season, apparently. Shortly after that, Ismaila Sarr is replaced by Eddie Nketiah. He can't carry on, which is a real shame for him. Was seen leaving Selhurst Park in a protective boot at the end of the game, of course. There he is. Someone snapped that picture. That was all over social media. We don't know how serious it is. I suspect we're not going to see him again this side of AFCON, but time will tell, or whether he'll even go now. We'll have to wait and see. So the next thing really was the Nketiah chance, and again, Eddie Nketiah he hasn't played a lot of football. I get that, but he has a real opportunity here to shine, in the spotlight, and he gets sent away, and he's got time to look up. And Munoz was screaming for the ball on the penalty spot. All he had to do was look up and play it sideways. Instead, he gets caught in possession, and I think it was Shaw came across and clouted him and won the ball. And the chance was gone. So he's got to do better than that. He's got to do much, much better than that. And Munoz on the penalty spot would have scored, I guess. But another big chance goes begging. Is there anything I've missed from the first half? I think that's about it, isn't it?
No, the only thing I would add to that, Ian, was that at that point with the Nketiah opportunity, let's call it that, Glasner was going absolutely bolo on the sideline that he hadn't squared that ball. He was in, I don't know what the right phrase is.
Incandescent, I think is a good word.
Yeah, and he really was. And I think rightly so, because that would have been our opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. So Man United, come out the second half, and I don't think they ever threatened us in the game from open play. I can't think of an open play chance really where they put pressure on us. But we do know that set pieces. We talked about the Strasbourg set piece already, and they get a free kick. Bruno is the master of them, isn't he? He got 2 assists yesterday, and he plays a relatively short ball through to Xerxes on the left-hand side, who beats the offside trap nicely. And it's Kamada that's sort of with him, but he doesn't put in a challenge of any description. He's at an acute angle, and he plays the ball across the goal, but finds the net, the far corner. Should Dean Henderson have done better with this? Is my question to you guys. We're 1-1. Paul's nodding. Tell me what you think about Dino in this situation, mate.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously been let down by his defence, and Oliver's made that clear that we probably down to mental and physical fatigue. We're making bad decisions, but to let Xerxes get a free shot at that ball, the ball at that point is ridiculous. But it's a very tight angle, and I think Dean will be a bit disappointed to concede from that angle. I mean, it was a strange goal, to be honest. I mean, he's hit it well, but we can't be letting in goals from that angle.
No, we can't. We really can't. And, and it gives them a massive lift, doesn't it? Their away support, whether you think about Man United supporters, where they come from in the country, they were loud.
They were very good.
Yeah,
fair
they were
play
pretty
to them.
decent. They were pretty decent. Apart from the obvious song
Yeah.
they kept singing about the C word. We really don't want that at all. It really winds me up actually. I don't get annoyed about many things, but I get annoyed about that, which is a real shame. But I'm not going to give it any more airtime on this podcast this evening. 1-1, 54 minutes, and they've got their tails up a bit. We had another chance to go forward when it was still 1-1. Pino puts a free kick forward. It was Munoz that got up in the penalty area, headed it across the box. And it was that man Xerxes again. He nearly scored an own goal at the other end. It was pinging about a bit, and he just came off him and went off for a corner. It's a shame when you get the ball in that area, that danger area in that 6-yard box. We couldn't really get anyone on the end of it to make a difference. And then the other free kick. This is we're just past the hour mark now. And we set the wall up, but the wall isn't doing its job at all. There's 4 people in the wall initially, but I think that what caught them out was the fact he didn't take the free kick direct. He plays it short to Mason Mount, who then has got a different angle on it, and they try and come out and close the ball down, but in doing so, they leave a massive space. And Henderson's sort of unsighted as well, and he's missed it. He's sort of wrong-footed, and it creeps in the corner. 2-1, and suddenly from a position of relative strength where we're 1-0 up and missing big chances and should have been 2 or 3, we're behind again. From the same as Strasbourg, 1-0 up at half time.
I was about to say thank you,
for
Ian. Thank you for saying that, because the difference with how we've been playing recently and the Strasbourg game and the Man United game was the intensity. Our intensity was off the pace. Yesterday, it seemed that every single 50-50 ball, any ball that went up in the air, when it bounced straight to a Man United player. Intensity wasn't there.
We've talked about this before. This Thursday, Sunday thing, we're finding it tough. The players are finding it physically and mentally tough. Bloody hell, the fans are finding it physically and mentally tough as well. I felt I just got back from the previous game and had to go out for the next one. It was like that, wasn't it, really? The only other real chance we had was right at the death. Devaney's on the pitch by then. He came on 85 minutes with Lerma. Lerma had a couple of long throws. I think he's better at them than Richards. Hughes Nuche came on the 78th minute. So we make all 5 substitutions. But Devaney's giving free kick duty, but he really messes it up. It's rubbish, really. Doesn't even get it anywhere near over the wall. He puts it straight into the wall, and it's the full-time whistle, and we lose the game. And only 4 minutes of stoppage time in the second half. I didn't think that was long enough. Not sure why they didn't play a bit more, but there we are. Very, very disappointing. And they are the stats from that game. What can I bring out of that? Not a lot. It's fairly even, isn't it? 14 shots each. They had more on target than we did. Disappointing. And I don't think we're a worse team than Man United. I think we're better than Man United. I just think we had a bad day at the office. And we're finding I think we're just finding these extra games tougher and tougher. And they've had a whole week off. They've slept in their own beds. They probably had a couple of days holiday this week with their friends and family, whereas our lads have been travelling around Europe and all kinds of stuff, getting back late.
Yes.
Yeah, I just think it's disappointing now that teams are capitalising on how tired we are, and because we can all see it, we can't seem to play 2 halves at the moment, and teams are making use of that and then going ahead, and then we can't seem to come back. I mean, that free kick at the end is appalling, really. To not even get it over the wall was terrible.
Where's Eze when you need him, mate?
Oh, no, don't.
You segue us beautifully onto the next bit, because that's obviously full time. Down we go, and back-to-back defeats, and then the press conferences come up. I think we're going to have a little bit to say between us on the wording and why the wording is necessary and everything else. Paul, before we go into it in any detail, can you remember what he actually said?
Basically he's come out and he's thrown the ball under the bus. He's been asked about squad size and things like that, and he's basically said we had a chance in July and August to act early and we didn't do it. We weren't backed. we knew we had this extra competition, and at that point, it's our first ever year in European competition. We should be investing, but we've chosen not to. We've chosen to save the money. And yeah, he's basically said that he said a couple of weeks ago we need an attacking player in January, and he's basically just re-emphasising the fact, and he's basically using the premise he wants to protect the players, because obviously he doesn't want the players getting criticism, and he's basically saying that they're trying the hardest. They can't do any more because we haven't got the squad to do it, and that's because the board didn't take the chance to fully equip the squad, and you can't argue with that. I mean, I remember saying on BBC Radio to them that I thought our transfer window was unprofessional. And when you look at what we did over the window, we've said this many times, and I said it. We knew we had an extra competition, but we've got basically a net of 2 new players. You could almost argue only one. I mean, Benitez, Sosa, and Pino came in, but they just replaced Eze, Turner, and Chilwell. So you can say we bought Uche, but you could almost argue he just replaced Edouard in the squad. And then the only player you've got is an up and coming centre back who's been bought for the future, Canvo. So we've gone into a season with an extra competition with basically 1-2 extra players, when we all knew Glasner wanted more. We all knew we needed more, and the board have taken a risk, and it's backfiring.
What do we think about the comment he made after that as well? Because he said, I think January is too late. We'll have played more than 50% of our games. It's almost like he's giving up by saying that comment. I was surprised by that comment. You know, we can still have a good January transfer window. All right, you can't change what's happened. But if we have a good January transfer window and bring in 2 or 3 more, then surely that strengthens the squad, and we can move on, no?
Very true, but we got 9 games in December, 9 key games. We got a quarter-final of a League Cup. We got 2 crucial Europe Conference League games that could define our decision in both of those tournaments. So, yeah, I mean, as I say, yes, we can still buy players in January, and they're going to have to, but it is too late, really. The players will be knackered in January, even if you bring new players in. You've still got players who are played 30, 40 games coming to January when other teams will have played 30.
Danny Hudders, I just saw your comment on there. Gutter press staring it up. Yeah, to a point, mate, I make you right. However, the words actually came out of the manager's mouth. Yaz, is he? Are we now all agreed that we think this will be it for the manager? He'll be gone. There's no chance of him signing a new deal, or is he playing a double bluff here?
Well, it could be either. I mean, I share his frustration, and I don't think we're going to be able to carry on in all the competitions we're in. And it might come down to prioritising the league, maybe. I don't know. But if even who we're going to get in January, who's really going to be available for us to get, we should have done it in the summer. I really fear that we haven't backed him when we should have. After we won the FA Cup, we should have just given him what he wanted, and we didn't. We did spend all that time fighting the case we were never going to win about Europe. And maybe, I know we all thought it's good we're putting up a fight, but at the same time, that was wasted money, wasted time, when we could have been going and getting more players. So I'm worried we are going to lose Glasner at the end of the season, hopefully not before, but one of them has to commit and do what the other wants, or both.
And the other thing, of course, is will if the board have decided that he's not going to sign a new deal, are they prepared to spend that money in the squad in January? Paul, I'm coming straight to you. You look like a Cub Scout sitting there. You see fingers up. Okay? Are the board prepared to commit to next season, when they know full well, in January, they know full well that he's going to be off at the end of the season? Because Ian alluded to it pre-show that he only stays at clubs for every 2 years. His 2 years is up. Do you think the club are likely to invest if they know he's definitely going to be off?
Well, I've said this on a number of our chats and some other chats as well. It's all very well in coming out and complaining about stuff like this. It's fine, but the ball is also in his court at the moment, because he hasn't signed a contract, and so it's a bit of a sticky situation. He can't expect, and the club won't spend millions of pounds on players for him if they don't know he's going to be there in 4 months' time.
Exactly my point. Exactly my point.
They need to save the money for a new manager. Also, it's going to be harder to buy players if you can't say to them, "Well, this is our manager next season." You can say it might be Oliver Glasner, it might not. It's so. We're not going to get any further at this point. The first thing that has to be decided is his future, really. And once he's decided that, if he says he's going to stay, then we have no excuse but to back him because he's showing commitment, and we then have to do exactly what he wants. Without knowing,
it's real chicken and egg, isn't it? What you're saying there, it's real chicken and egg. He's got to commit first, really, before we spend big and get the players in that he wants. Yasmin, I think you made a really valid point there earlier, that the shenanigans with UEFA during the summer just distracted everybody. Whether we realised it or not at the time, we probably didn't realise it at the time. We went hell for leather, court of arbitration, da-di-da, hoping to get in the Europa League. And that just took everyone's eye off the ball of everything else, didn't it? With hindsight, looking back now.
True, but we should have had the lawyers on that case and other areas of the club looking at recruitment.
Yeah. Talking of recruitment, Phillips von David says Oliver Glasner wants the Bayern right back. Yeah, his name's Sasha Bowie. He is in the squad. He's not playing for Bayern Munich at the moment. But, I think when Oliver Glasner really wants a player and he makes it known, he gets them, think Max Lacroix, thinks Diachi Kamada, they're Glasner players. He brought both of those players to the club. They wouldn't be here without him.
Right.
You talked earlier, Nick, about his managed. I touched on it pre-show, but look, he's only ever stayed at clubs for a couple of years. Wolfsburg, July 2019 to June 2021. Eintracht Frankfurt, July 21 to June 2023. What makes us think that Crystal Palace is any different?
We don't. I don't. He's ambitious. Spurs need to carry on the run they're on, and he'll be the Spurs manager within the next few weeks. I honestly believe that ought to be the case.
I hope you're wrong there. I hope he stays to the end of the season, like Yasmin says.
I can honestly, because of how things are at the moment, I can honestly feel that it only takes one of the bigger clubs to pull the plug on somebody, on one of their managers, and he will be the first name in the frame. He is high stock at the moment, very high stock. Listen, I want to move it along, boys, if you don't mind. Nigel, upcoming fixtures, please, mate. So we've got a packed schedule coming up. I'm sure Nigel has a slide for me at some point, and there it is. So obviously Wednesday evening, 7:30 kickoff is on Sky Sports. We're away at Burnley, and then the following Sunday, again we're on Sky Sports, 4:30 in the afternoon, and then that little trip to Dublin. And those of you going over there, stay safe. I won't be there. I will be keeping my head down because, ladies and gentlemen, I am perfectly fit and well. And if I don't turn up for a podcast in the next few weeks, you know that I've been rumbled by somebody. The Premier League on Sky Sports 1 on 14th of December, 2:00 kickoff, also on Sky Sports, Palace at home to Man City. Then the Cups game on the, God, it's nonsense, isn't it? 4 days later, home to Cups. I will be there then. So if you want to take me out, guys, bring your sharpshooters in. I'll be there. Okay, and the final game on that lot, again on Sky Sports. We're going to be earning a few quid out of Sky Sports appearances this year. We're away at Leeds United, which I think will be actually an integral game to our season. We got an opportunity there against Fulham. We got an opportunity there against Leeds, and also Burnley, of course. So those 3 games could actually end up defining our Premier League season. Paul, I know we're overrunning, folks.
Yeah, no, I think our next 10 games are on Sky, so it's pretty good for the fan who can't make games over Christmas and things like that. But yeah, I mean, that Leeds game is a bit of a killer because obviously it's been moved back to the Saturday, so we're playing Thursday, Saturday now. Burnley, Fulham, Leeds, all those games on paper, I'd expect us to win, but given a fair crack of the whip, but obviously with the fixture congestion and obviously playing Leeds 2 days after a European game that's now important, it does hinder our potential, which is a shame.
If you had a choice to, I suppose he has got a choice because he could play a really understrength side, but if you had a choice to throw the Carabao Cup and play that Leeds game later, I don't know, with a proper break in between, because it's 48 hours. That's ridiculous, isn't it? 48 hours later, we go to Leeds.
Well, I think we've shot ourselves in the foot. I think if we hadn't have asked to move the game like Arsenal did, they couldn't have moved one and not the other. And I think us playing Sunday, Tuesday, and Arsenal doing that, both Arsenal Palace are in the same boat for that game. Okay, now technically we're still in the same boat because we're playing 3 days there, but we've obviously got the 2 days in 4 games. Now,
I know it's wrong.
Worst thing that could, I mean, it could be interesting if we did lose to Shelbourne and were basically almost out of the conference. He could basically throw that game. But I think, to be honest, the conference we've got more chance of winning the League Cup than the conference, in my opinion. There's only three games potentially to get to Wembley and win that, whereas you've got to win another 11, 12 to win the other.
Yeah, and I sort of agree with that because I believe Arsenal will focus on the Premier League than they will the Cup. Yeah, do you wanted to make a point before I close?
Oh no, I was just agreeing. I to be honest, depending what happens in Dublin, then we might just focus on the Cup and the League, and I don't think that would necessarily be wrong.
Cool. Right, before we go, you three, I'm throwing you under the bus. I'd like a positive, please, Ian, to close the show.
The positive is that, we're ninth in the Premier League. We're still in the conference, got a really good opportunity of qualifying still in the final 8 of the Carabao. How many defeats? Only 5 defeats this season in all competitions, which is 2 more than this time last week. But, it's still pretty good. There aren't many teams that have lost 3 or less games in the Premier League this season. So lots of positives still. Just need to keep focused and keep smiling, everybody.
Well, I was going to come to you two for the positives, as he's nicked them all. Okay, have you got anything you can add?
No, keep the faith. As I say, if we start taking our chances, we take the pressure off ourselves. We don't have to be under pressure in second half. So, yeah, let's just get a bit more clinical. And hopefully, that will show on the points tally.
Yes.
Well, I was only going to wind Ian up and say that Tyrek Mitchell, our best striker on the pitch at the moment, the only one that seems to be able to find the goal.
Yeah, Yasmin sees Mitchell at the back, Mitchell in attack. When
Exactly.
Well, I'll give you one. I'm going to close with one as well. Ladies and gentlemen, 50 years I've been waiting to see Palace in Europe. Cherish every second of it. Cherish every second of it with your hands in your pockets. On behalf of my wonderful team, Nigel in the background, we will be back next Monday on the 8th of December. Ian will be in the chair. I will be on the panel this time. He'll be raising the questions. I'll be answering them. I wish you safe, and I mean safe, travels to Burnley. Safe and stay safe, everybody. Thank you and good night.
Good night, guys.
Good night, everyone.